Hi, this is week 1 of my presentation course and this is video number 7 for this course and this will be my last video for this week, hopefully. And in this video I'd like to talk a bit more about good body language. I'll be repeating quite a lot of what I've already said, but hopefully I'll be giving you some more new information as well. Okay, now body language is very important for you to be an effective presenter. Okay, and there are two reasons for that. One is that, as I said before, good body language actually gives you confidence, helps you to relax, it calms your nerves. So good body language is a good way to deal with nervousness. The other thing is that much of what sells a presentation, much of what is effective in a presentation depends on the audience liking you and believing you and trusting you. And if you are giving body language which is not trustworthy, then people don't believe you and people don't like you so much. If you look nervous, the audience becomes nervous and then they don't like that feeling and they have this negative feeling about your presentation. Okay, so body language is very important for being believed. So what shouldn't we do with body language? Well, as we mentioned before in our last video, we shouldn't be turning our backs to the audience for a very long time. Okay? The audience came to listen to you make a presentation, but not just listen, to watch you make a presentation. And if you're always talking to the whiteboard, then that's not very effective for your presentation. It's not believable. The audience are like, this is terrible, why am I here? You know, what's he doing? Why isn't he looking at me? Why isn't he talking to me? So that's one thing. Don't turn your back on your audience. We already talked about how when you turn your back on the audience, they can't hear you. So that's another terrible thing. But in general, it's also just bad to have your back to the audience. So avoid that. The second thing we want to avoid is fidgeting. This happens when we're nervous. Or even if you're not nervous, if you're fidgeting, you look nervous. So yesterday I recorded a video with one of my students. During the Q&A I asked a difficult question and he's like, yeah, no, lots of fidgeting and it looks bad, okay? Also, at one point during the question and answer he was just folding his arms like this. Okay? Looks defensive. I don't like your question. You found something bad about my presentation and I wish you hadn't found something bad about my presentation. It makes you look like you're hiding something, or whether, you know, their question means, yes, actually my product isn't very good. So we don't want to be turning away. We don't want to be fidgeting, biting our nails, using our hands in kind of random ways. And we don't want to be folding our arms for a long time in a very sort of strong, aggressive way. These all give the wrong signals. Okay. So what should you do in these situations? Well, as I said before, we need a relaxed but strong stance. So in general, we stand with our feet apart at shoulder width apart to give us our kind of strongest base. Okay? This is relaxed, but it's also confident. We stand up straight because this helps us to breathe. We don't bend our head down here. We keep it here. We're talking to our audience. We're aiming at the back of the room with our voice. Okay. Gestures. Gestures are very good. As you can see, I use gestures all the time. Okay. Some people don't like to use gestures and maybe they'll put their hands down by their sides like this. But they have energy, they want to say something in their presentation. But if you're always like this, you look very uncomfortable. And then you start to, the movement that would come with your gestures comes out elsewhere. You start moving like this, or your hands are sort of waving around your trouser area, and you don't want that, yeah? You keep your nice relaxed stance, and you aim to keep your gestures in this general chest area. Okay, we can be turning to the board and pointing and things like this, like a weather person does, somebody who announces what the weather is. Okay, but generally we want our gestures to be here. So we don't want to stop ourselves from gesturing, because then we start moving in all kinds of funny ways and things like that. Nice relaxed gestures, nice strong positive gestures are a good thing. Okay, now as I said before, we don't want to be in a strong arms folded position for a long time, especially in cultures like Japan. It doesn't look so good, and it doesn't convey so well to the audience. However, there are some behaviors that I've seen with Western presenters which do seem to be acceptable, even if they are generally not so acceptable in Japan. So I'd like to go over those now. In Japan, I don't think we would see people with their hands in their pockets. Well, yeah, I think maybe not so much in the West either. But I've seen quite a few presenters, including Steve Jobs, have one hand in the pocket while they're gesturing with the other hand. They're walking around a little bit the room, saying this, talking to this member of the audience, talking to that member of the audience, and one of their hands is in their pockets. This gives an impression of being very relaxed, which is a good thing. For some people it may seem a little bit too casual, but it does happen. I've seen people in this company also deliver this style. So having your hand in a pocket can be a grey area, but I've seen a lot of especially American presenters have one hand in their pocket, strolling a little bit around their stage and using the other hand for gestures. So that's basically acceptable in the West. Another thing that I've seen is an arm fold that then becomes a half arm fold with gestures. Again, perhaps a grey area, but I've seen this quite a lot in the West with really quite high level presenters. I think you can see pictures of, again, Steve Jobs or Bill Gates or somebody like that. They start with an arm fold, but then one hand becomes free to give gestures with. People who are not sure what to do with their hands during presentations, this gives them a way to anchor the hand but still have gestures. And it's not as bad as, say, trying to keep your hands by your sides while you're talking or something like that, or holding your hands behind your back, or putting them in front of your trouser belt or something like that, and trying to keep your hands out of the way. I think we can fold our arms as long as we have one hand free for gesturing. Okay, one last thing I'd like to talk about, although it's not strictly body language, is laser pointers. Now, I don't have a laser pointer with me, so I'm going to be using this. Okay. I hate laser pointers. I hate them. Okay. If you have a slide with so much information that you need a laser pointer to point to the details, I think there's something wrong with the slide. You don't need a laser pointer, you need a clearer slide. That's my opinion. Okay. What I definitely don't want to see happening with laser pointers, and I see it all the time. Okay, so this figure was 100,000, okay, and somebody points their laser pointer to the 100,000, okay. So as we can see, the number was 100,000, okay. Then they forget to turn off their laser pointer, and they're talking, but the laser pointer is just going all round the slide, going crazy. it's going all over the place and it's distracting the audience. They saw the main piece of information you gave them, but now they're like a cat chasing the laser pointer beam. It's going all over the place and their eyes are going all over the place, and you are distracting your audience because you forgot to turn off your laser pointer. If you need to use your laser pointer, point, show the item, turn off your laser pointer until you need it again. Otherwise it goes all over the place. Also, don't keep your laser pointer pointed at something for a long time. Point to it, circle it, turn off. Why? Because if you keep pointing to it, then if you're nervous, your laser pointer starts shaking back and forth because your hand is shaking. Maybe people can't see that your hand is shaking, but by the time it's being projected with the laser pointer, we can see the dot going back and forth. And now people know that you're very nervous. So another reason to either not use a laser pointer or to use your laser pointer very briefly and then turn it off is because it shakes. And then people know, ah, he's nervous. Okay? And then you don't look as good. You know, you've got your nice confident stance and you're pointing to something, but now we can see that actually you're very nervous. And that kind of brings down your level of performance a little bit. Okay, well that's all the videos for week 1. We've covered the introduction section of a presentation, and we've also looked at good voice projection, good body language, and dealing with nerves, which are very key things for the whole of your presentation life. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed the videos and I hope you've got something out of the information for week 1, and we'll come back in week 2 and talk some more. Thank you.